I'm back. I had someone at the door. Sorry about that. Okay, so it's about I was saying about the Venetian. I'm only using the Venetian culture as a benchmark to explain to you about introduction. So if I walk into a place and people don't know me, then they we are a race where we judge. So they judge me according to the way that I look, the way that I act. So if I've walked into a town and nobody knows me, they don't know who I am, where I'm from. So an introduction is like an opening of a door. It gives me a better status with the individual that I'm wanting to meet. So where am I going with this? A tour guide is important. In going into a few towns, especially cities, the tour guide has a relationship with the people. So a tour guide can introduce you to many, many avenues and many places, and knows the ins and the outs of the town or the city. So a tour guide is very important. Now, you don't need a tour guide in a lot of the towns, but you need a tour guide in the major cities because you'll lose yourself. It's like going into India and I'm going to go into India. Get in the airport. Where am I going to get from here? So it's important that I have a tour guide because the tour guide represents the city and knows the ins and outs of where I want to go and the people. So they introduce me to the people, introduces me to the town, introduces me to the food, the culture, the amazing history and art that I want to find about, learn more about. So the tour guide is very important. It is the number one thing that is important to the cities. The little towns, you don't need a tour guide because the little towns are just taking you from A to B to C to D. But in the major cities, especially, let's discuss Palermo, yes, you do need a tour guide. You can get in there and you can find, but you actually rob yourself of experiencing a city that is a queen. So you don't enter into a queen's territory and not be introduced by the introducer. I don't know. Well, you just can't make an appointment to see a queen. You need to know the secretary. You need to go in and out. So that's how Palermo is. So you go into Palermo, you can look around and go around and there, but you rob yourself of the introduction to an amazing queen because then you can't go into her kingdom with understanding how the queen works. So Palermo, yes. And no, you don't want to have a tour guide? Go for it. You don't need it. But these are my opinions, and this is my experience that I've had many tour guides, and I will continue to have tour guides. I don't need tour guides into the places that I've already been to because I've already been to Palermo at least 10 times and I already know her. But there's places of Palermo that I've never, ever been to. For example, Palermo, like churches, for example, there are 365 churches in Palermo. Now you can go to all these different churches and one looks more than the different than the other. Then you can go into a church. There's a church, and then there's a church. There's cathedrals. There's the Cathedral of Palermo, which is quite beautiful, has amazing history. And there is a church in Palermo that's just been opened up in the last 10 years to the public, and it was only available for the nuns and the priests. And you go into that church and it's like, oh my God, what? Where have I been? The Baroque, the marble, the mosaic, the art. You're dumbfounded. And that's called the Maturana. Maturana. It's called the Church of Jesus, they call it as well. So, if you didn't know about it, you would have walked in, I don't need a tour guide. I'll save money. Tour guides are worth the money because you want to experience the place, you want to savor the place, and you want to learn about the history of the place. You don't go into a place that's thousands of years old and think, I'll just drive around and drive around. Go for it. You need a tour guide for the first time at least. So then it's like an opening of a door. Once you've gone in there and you've learned about the structures and you get your bearings, then another time you go, you don't need a tour guide. But for that one time that you've never been, yes, a tour guide. There's many places that you can go to. All you need to do is Google. But I have got this for you to start you off with, the Lonely Planet Sicily. It has just about everything that you need. It tells you the western parts of Sicily, the Tyrrhenian Sea part of Sicily, Palermo. It tells you about Palermo, where to go, why go, best places to sleep. You know, there's so many places. It tells you about the mafia. I thought I might have had my glasses. But for many people, the word mafia is synonymous with Sicily, thanks to the country's infamous historical relationship with the organisation. Yes, the mafia does exist. It is still quite active, and that's why you need a tour guide, because the tour guide will take you into places where the mafia isn't, and it's safer. And that makes it a lot easier for the transition for you to understanding the land. So, and the tour guide, there's tour guides and then there's tour guides. So you need a registered tour guide, someone who has their papers as a tour guide and who won't rob you of your money. So you need to know exactly which tour guide to get. And then there's drivers, and then there's drivers. And you need a driver who is a really good driver and he knows the places to take you. So that's a different thing. I really want to, I want to break these down, these videos, to explain to you what I've learned, so it'll help you when you decide that you want to go and you want to experience Sicily. There's people that will take your money. Look, a tour guide can take up to €150 to €250 a day. It's a lot of money, but they'll give you their best. So you might just say, all right, I'll take a tour guide for a couple of days and the rest, while I've get my bearings, I know where I'm going, then I will do it myself. And that's fine. That's great. You can do that. So start with the Lonely Planet experience in Sicily. It tells you the history, the early settlement. It tells you about all the regions, it tells you where to eat, the festivals, the central part of Sicily. There's so many places that you can learn from, and you can read it before you decide that you're going to go. It'll give you some structure and will start your own vocabulary of understanding the language. Now in Sicily, they speak Italian language, but their mother language is the dialect Sicilian. And majority of the shop owners and restaurants, tour guides, they do speak English. They've probably gone to the UK. They have a lovely, they're Italian, but they have a lovely English accent, or they've gone to America to study, and you can hear the American accent of their English where they've learnt it. It's amazing how we can adapt in any culture that we are and take from that culture what we've learnt. And they learn, like myself, where I walk in there and I speak Italian or Sicilian, I have an Australian accent that comes with it. And they already know that I'm from Australia. Isn't that amazing? The beauty of life, of learning. So understanding the culture, understanding the people, understanding the regions. Some regions, they say regions, but it's better to say province. It's easier. So the provinces you learn, there's 9 provinces and 9 dialects. So some might be very old-fashioned and haven't been updated by today's society, and you might not find any cars there. They've still got donkeys. There's so many things. But first, this is the introduction of understanding the importance of having a tour guide and a registered tour guide who will take you to the places and introduce you to the people, introduce you to the culture, introduce you to the food, introduce you to the province, which is a big factor of traveling in Sicily. I travelled when I was 10, I travelled when I was 20, I travelled in my 40s, 50s and my 60s to Sicily. So it changes. It changes. So wrap it up, understanding the culture for you, getting Lonely Planet about Sicily is probably the best, because the Lonely Planet has got a lot of information. They've put a lot in that, and it probably cost you about, I don't know how much they are. I bought it actually in Sicily and it cost me €21. So probably about $45, worth the investment of the $45. And in that, they would be updated, and then you can go onto their websites and find they've got numbers of people of where to go to. The festivals are important, because you do want to learn about every day is a festival. Every day is a name day, and every day is a saint day, depending on where you're going and which region, which province that you're going to. It's amazing. So let this one be about learning about the culture, learning that you will need a tour guide and a driver in some sections, and then you can drive most of Sicily yourself. To get from one end to another is probably about 7-8 hours, and you can do that halfway. I will talk about the trains. I will talk about each region. So we start today with understanding what is the essence of the culture, the province, the people, and the introduction is important. The introduction creates a really firm foundation of a relationship. You know, they will treat you a lot differently if they see you with a tour guide. Then they know that you are from somewhere else. Like, you can go into a town and you can drive yourself and you'll be finding that they'll be staring at you all the time because they know that you're a foreigner. So with a tour guide, it's a little bit more friendlier. Okay, they've got a tour guide, and so they're tourists. You know, it's strange. Like, if you're going into a province that is very outdated, that haven't got a lot of update with today's world, they will be looking at you and they'll be saying, what's that woman doing here? Where is she from? What does she want? That's how they'll be looking. Weary. You know, like they'll be talking in their Sicilian language. Questa cristiana, che vuole? Tu ne vinni? Tu sa? You know, that's what they'll be doing. Like, be all whispering, and that's what it'd be like a bit like From Scratch, that movie, and they did in the US, where she went back into the town, and they already knew who she was. They'd already judged her, and so it's a tour guide is beneficial for you. It will take you a little bit out of pocket, but it'll be well worth it to an introduction to an amazing island, the island of Sicily, my mother town. It will really be worth it. So this one is an introduction. I hope you like it. If you do like it and you want to follow to the next few videos that I'm going to be doing about towns and more, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram, and hit that subscribe button. Arrivederci.